Right, here we are, guys. I'm going to be back with a revised set of guides. This is going to be with the Golf Clash notebook here. As you can see that I have it working here, working version of this. I think it's ironic that, it's kind of a contradiction here. You have Playdemic, who has in their terms of service saying you cannot distribute, but you can use the app, and yet they're targeting past versions of the app. That's a contradiction. It doesn't make any sense. If they would take that same amount of time and invest it in actual people who are legitimately trying to manipulate the game and cheat, which we see in every tournament, maybe the game would actually be more fun to play. For all of the ignorant players out there who actually think a wind app actually makes you play better, you're ridiculous. If you've seen my guides in the last however long it is, 2.5 months now, I've had no issue playing without the use of a wind aid. It doesn't make a difference. It keeps you organized. It helps you. It's not cheating. Meanwhile, the entire 2.5 months, we've had nothing but cheaters and Playdemic doing nothing about it. So what you guys should be doing, instead of coming after us or, reaching out to Playdemic about how these apps are cheating, you should be targeting Playdemic to do something about the cheaters. It's not even worth or fun playing the game anymore. And I can't believe that you guys keep investing into the game and playing the tournaments and all this. I don't play any of the tournaments because they're not even fun anymore. All it is just a whole bunch of people who are manipulating the code in the game. And Playdemic, if they spent half of the time that they do to try to restrict this app from working, which, as you can see, I have it on my screen right now. If they spent half the time trying to go after the actual cheaters who are actually manipulating the game instead of the app, well, we probably wouldn't be in the States, and the game would probably be a lot more enjoyable to play at this point. With that being said, we're going to jump in. I'm going to do some bonus content for you guys. I'm going to run through hole 1, hole 2, hole 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're going to do revised content for the expert guide. This is going to be supplemental, something I don't usually do. Just going to go over some kind of honed in shots. This is stuff that I typically, let you guys do on your own and just try to hone in on those adjustments yourself. So, you guys can kind of progress as players of the game and eventually move up into the master. I don't really enjoy playing master anymore whatsoever, because when we look at the whole cheating market, the guys who are actually cheating the game, more percentage based, maybe not more users in general, but more percentage based. The problem lies in master. The guys are cheating the master tournament. Let's just throw a number out there, say 1-2% of the actual population is cheating. If you look at, some of the other, rookie, pro, it's a much lower total because there's so many more users. But the fact that there's only 2,000 accounts playing master makes it the most prone to be manipulated. Way more so than using wind applications would ever be. So with that being said, we're going to do some bonus content here for expert. I'm going to go right around a puck 5 spin. That's what I've been doing. And I've also been trying to land very centered in the fairway. So this is kind of my land zone right in here, right in the middle. So I was trying to point to it. Also, you'll see that I have this horizontal line set in place to kind of help me with the percentage of power to go. I did hit a great ball off to the left. Didn't want that great ball. However, we're just going to kind of work with it, and we'll just kind of adjust our ring adjustment accordingly. So I would have liked to have been maybe right about here, which is where it would have been. I would have been right about here had I hit perfect ball. Great ball ends up costing me. But I also leave room just in case I do great ball right it, so I don't roll into this rough. So I try to keep it to where, a great ball rough, right, I'm just going to be kind of right up here on the front of the fairway. So let's see what my opponent does here. What I like to do is go for the dunk. If I would have been my opponent here, laying up here, I'd probably go off the fairway a little bit lower than they are. Anytime that you try to get more up into the slope, it makes it even harder to hold out. So much better to stay kind of towards the low ground and try to reduce the amount that you top backspin than trying to land there very close to the fringe. But here you can see here's min club. The only thing that we're going to do on this one, I'll typically play kind of close to 5 per ring at min club. You can see I'm a little bit in, so I'm thinking, somewhere around 4 per ring or so. So you'll see that I do just a little bit more adjustment. This is going to be a ring and a half. And I'm also going to put the target towards the back of the cup. A little bit more towards the back because it's been landing just a little bit long. Other than that, we're going to just try to make sure that we set our power very centered, get our perfect ball, and I have pretty good confidence that I'll make it. But as you can see, it does just the wind was just a little bit more than 4 per ring. And it all has to do, had I hit perfect ball off the tee and used that same adjustment, 2 yards closer, that would have been in the hole. So that makes all the difference. But anyway, I'll pick you guys up on the second hole. Good luck with this one. As I mentioned, with that adjustment, it's all going to come down to kind of fractions of yards. You gotta be kind of on point with the way that you go about doing that. Good luck there. I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, here we are, hole number 2, guys, that we're setting up for. I've been just going 1-to-1 on this adjustment, so nothing really too challenging for this one. We are going to use kind of like a Santa Season 11, similar to that. It does make it just a little bit easier. What I've been doing is I've actually been keeping the ball guide off maybe about 3 rings short past the bunker and also through the hole towards the left, kind of like this. So you can see with how I'm lined up here through the hole, pass down the hill, and it's actually to the left of the hole if you can see it. Other than that, I've just been going 1-to-1. Now, what ends up kind of changing things is essentially the way that so you can see that's right around 5.9 rings. Caught a great ball. So I imagine that's going to probably get blocked out, but let's just see how, yeah, definitely. So you'll see that it's well off to the left. So otherwise, it's kind of been rolling down towards the hole, either lip out or better. That seems to be pretty good alignment, especially with the wind 5. Gives you a very good chance for hole out. But with the great ball, leaving it way out to the left, it just kind of hits the slope differently and also hits this fairway here for the second hop. What it's been doing is the second hop's a little bit closer to the fringe, sometimes even on the fringe, like right on that fringe, and just kind of funnels out towards the hole. You just got to perfect that ball guide offset there because it definitely has to be through the hole. And you also got to pull your rings at just a slight angle there is what I've found about this hole. And that's the real secret. Other than that, I've just been playing 1-to-1, whatever the wind is. Wind's 5.9, I go 5.9 rings. But you do need to have that ball guide through the hole and to the left. Otherwise, you're not going to be that close. And you'll see, still guys trying to do a little bit too much. That's the big secret to this hole. Especially if you can, if you can use a wind 5, you won't even be close to that bunker because you won't be pulling down to low enough ground to have it land that short. But you can see that they're landing well short when the wind's only 45, 35%. It's just not enough wind. And you end up pulling down to lower ground, and it's just too low of a ground to overcome. However, there's a good chance that you can get this ace. I still don't have it, but I've had 2 lip outs so far. So I do trust that alignment. So, you can have faith in that one. Good luck with that hole, and I will see you guys on 3 momentarily. All right, tag guys, here we are. Hole 3. Notebook app in effect here. And why it's not my turn, one of the things that I do want to kind of point out is it's so funny that, they're really targeting Android and Android only. They're basically saying they're not okay with iOS slide over, but I don't see them doing anything about other applications that may have that feature. So it's kind of contradictory when you're not consistent across the board. So I just don't understand why they can't be a little bit more clear. We've tried to get response via email with their team, and they're just very, casual about it. We can't get consistent answers from them on anything. And that's one of the reasons that we're really not interested at all in kind of staying up and trying to even bother with this, because it's just almost too much work at this point just to get something that would be, a decent, respectable answer. It's just a lot of work on our part, because it seems like we're doing more to be professional about this than they are. There shouldn't be anything that's restricted from not only the public, everything should be very clearly written, and nothing clearly is, because we have all these contradictory statements happening where, we'll do something, for instance, the whole terms of service thing, when you look at, there's nothing against you from using applications. So you can see I'm using Golf Clash Notebook right now. And, there's nothing restricting me from doing that. It's not even against their terms to do that. So I'm 100% in the clear. Right now, the way that it's stated, the only thing you can't do is distribute. So why even go after people who are using past versions? For instance, Golf Clash Notebook 1.2.0. Why even target that? It's not against your terms of service, so why? It doesn't even make any sense to even put code in place if it's not against your terms of service. So I really hope that they end up updating something just so it actually makes some kind of sense. At least I can be like, oh, okay. Well, now at least I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but as it is now, we're just kind of just left to wonder, more so than anything. Here you can see on this hole, I've been going for the cup off the rough here, so you can see that I'm just kind of doing a rough shot. If I can perfect that aim, if I can perfect that backspin, that's the shot I've been going for. I just think it's a little bit more makeable than the Guardian shot, because you can see how it rolls out with kind of some speed. So especially if you can catch your perfect balls, if you can just get that land zone down, it's one of those things that you just kind of got to hope, because you can see I can't get close enough to where I can actually count the rings out. So I just kind of visualize it, and based on the wind, whether it's 9.1 or 7.8, I just need to do slight modifications with how I aim. And the more shots you rehearse, the better you're going to be with that. So that's what I encourage you guys to do. If you want to increase your tournament performance, you know, the guys who are beating you 9 out of 10 times, they just play more than you, more so than anything. Because, you know, Playdemic, they're not really innovative. They just do the same the same tournament every 2 weeks. So it's the same wind. If you play it 20 times, you're way more favorable. If you play it 30 times, you're way more likely to win than if you're just playing it 3 or 4 times, the same setup. So until that changes, you know, that's what you should be targeting instead of wind apps. Like, what is the wind app doing? I mean, clearly, I mean, you guys see me play this game for how long, and I can do it with the app. I can do it without the app. It really doesn't matter. It's not anything that's going to beat you. What ends up beating you is the player who has the knowledge, or in the event of the tournaments, it's the player who plays the setup the most times. If I see that setup 100 times, and I get to shoot that thing 100 times, all I need to do is kind of make note, record the video, and then just make minor tweaks moving forward. And also, you know, basically based on the wind, if it's 0.5 difference or if it's 0.7 difference, the players who can most accurately fix that, those little minor tweaks, those are the guys who are going to be consistently winning. Also comes down to perfect ball timing. So these are the two factors that essentially, you know, come down to tournaments, the two most main things, more so than anything. So that's the things that they should be focused on fixing, not all this ring application stuff that just doesn't seem to be making any sense. It's so ironic that they're just trying to target all the things that really don't matter. And it's probably has to do with the ignorance of users who actually believe that's the worst thing about the game. The game itself is the worst thing about the game. It's nothing that any ring app has ever created. Okay? They do not take the time to do the updates, and it clearly shows. You can see that there's still all this cheating going on in the tournament scoring. It never changes. Even once one thing gets fixed, it just moves on to the next one. And that's where they should be putting and investing the time into getting rid of the cheats. But it is what it is. So I digress. All right, here we are. Hole number 4. This is got to be one of the easiest holes that they've ever set up. There's really nothing challenging about this one whatsoever, especially with the wind angle. It's almost like the hole kind of breaks from right to left, so you kind of have some leeway with kind of where it can aim for the most part, especially if you have good speed. What I've been doing is I've been using the Wind 5, right around 2.5 backspin. It's a good chance that I'm going to make this. It's probably like 85%. It's going to be a very high percentage chance that I'm going to make this one. So let's take a look. You almost don't need to even play the wind effect. I've been noticing on this, it's almost null. I'm not sure why, but you can see I'm right around 2.5 on the backspin, and I'm just going to essentially play the left edge of the cup right in here. I've been playing about 0.66 per ring. So in this case, that's 5.2. It's almost spot up 8 rings. So you'll see 8 rings right here. Perfect ball. And right into the cup. So straightforward. Should be able to easily get it. Hopefully you guys can. And good luck with that one. All right, here we are, hole 5. Should be good to go here. So one thing that I like to do is I like to land maybe right around here, kind of the left half of the fairway. As you can see, left center. There seems to be kind of a mound towards the middle. You want to stay on the left side of that mound. Also, you don't want to go beyond 2 top spin. So I'm going to go right around 2, and I'm also going to overplay just a little bit. So for me, it's probably a 6-ring adjustment. I'm going to go pretty much straight up 7. There's no shame in going too far left here. There's almost no way to go too far left unless you were to great ball this considerably. As you can see, it just kind of gently rolls over to the left here and stops before the end of the fairway. And we should give ourselves a good opportunity. One of the best things about this approach here is the closer you get to the edge, the more backspin you can use, especially with the Power 4. If you can get 1 or 2 backspin, I think it's going to increase the likelihood that you can make this shot. So that is ideally what you want to do. So a POC 5, a POC 6, a POC 7. It's much easier to get this one. However, you can always power this. As you'll see, my opponent's going to have to do. He's going to have to use some power. He's not doing any curl. You better land right on the left edge, because this is ridiculous. Not sure he's going to hold it, but it also depends on his spin. If he doesn't put enough top spin, as you can see he doesn't, it's actually going to stop. But he's going to be well back. So it makes you have to kind of top spin crazy. If he would have had my spin, he would have rolled through into the rough. So it kind of does show you the difference of the shots. But here you can see I will be able to use this backspin that I was kind of speaking of. And in my opinion, it does make it just a little bit easier if you can do this. And ideally, what we're going to try to do, so I'm thinking somewhere around here, just going to play the wind effect. And plus 14, I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 7.5-ish rings, somewhere in there. Perfect ball. So definitely going to have a chance, but it is very tough. See, it's very tough. This is a tough fairway, and that's one of the biggest reasons that I actually think that it kind of gives you an advantage, a little bit of an edge, because you can kind of, if you only have 1 bounce on the fairway and you can get that second bounce on the green, in my opinion, it makes it slightly more likely that you're going to get the hole out, because you're not going to have to worry about quite as much wind effect as some of these other guys have to play. Or also weird fairway bounces that you could get, because it really is, all these bounces and spots on the fairway are kind of all over the place. So the quicker you can get off the fairway, the better. So you can see that I only have to land 1 bounce on the fairway. So from my experiences from this hole, it does make it more likely. It doesn't make it that much easier, but it does raise your percentage of hole outs just a little bit, to where, let's say you're going to hole it out 5% of the time, maybe it raises it to, who knows, 7, 8, 9%. But any little increase that you can get is better. Not to mention, the more times you see that, the more that you can make just slight modifications and adjustments based on what you're seeing there. So it is going to be a little bit better if you can get it up there and just kind of raise that percentage at all to when you can hold this out, because it is going to be a very, very tough shot, even if you know what to do, just because of the fairway. But, keep that in mind. Good luck with that hole, guys, and I will see you guys on hole 6 coming up. All right, hey, guys, here we are, hole 6. So what I'm going to do is play this one relatively aggressive, and I'll show you the approach that I like best. It's not something from my streams thus far. Well, to a point it is. I think I did this shot with a Kingmaker, but I actually like to use a wind 5, get that wind down. And getting that wind down is going to pretty much make this, if you drive it in the fairway, 80-90% chance to hole out. So I'm thinking right around a Pox 6 full top spin, a Pox 6, not a Pox 7 top spin. And I'm thinking of landing right around 5 rings. So if you can see with where I'm aiming, I'm kind of looking up here. You can see relatively max, maybe just a little bit light. And I'm also not full curling it, but I'm giving it a good amount of curl. I just want it to kind of sneak into that fairway. Sure enough, it does there. As long as I can get it to slide through there. What I like to do is I like to keep it towards min club for the thorn shot as opposed to max club for the wedge shot. It makes it a little bit easier. The wind effect is down, which makes it easier to play. So the ball comes in a lower trajectory, much easier to hold out in my opinion. So that's what you'll see that I'll do. You can see opponent here, turkey ball, and I kind of hinted at this on my shot. Never go off this fairway unless you have to. It's kind of all over the place. If you saw my guide, I gave you kind of the way to do it off the fringe. That's what I recommend. And definitely when you're going off the fringe, make sure that you're very centered on the fringe as well. However, it looks like he does lip it in. However, as I mentioned, you're just not going to get quite the consistent rollout and bounce off the fairway as you do on the fringe. And one step farther on the green is even better. But here you can see, here's where the min line is. I've been playing this maybe 4.5 per ring, so probably 4 per ring for this case. Typically, I might backspin it. I really don't care when my opponent's in the hole. So the only thing that you're going to see me do is kind of play the back of the cup, kind of like this, as I mentioned, 4-ish per ring in this sense, and also towards the back of the cup. So you can see with where I'm aiming, a little bit more towards the back. Other than that, just set the power. Make sure that that power is very good. Perfect ball. It should be 99% in here. You can see that it actually centers the pin. So I definitely, have a good sense of that adjustment by now. And, definitely a good chance there. So hopefully you guys are able to get it. Good luck with that hole. I'll catch you guys on 7 momentarily. All right, hey guys, here we are, hole 7. So another good chance here for hole out, especially if you guys can get your perfect ball. What I try to do here is maybe just a little bit more than 5. That's what, 5.5 there. And you can see with where I have for my alignment, maybe just keep it kind of pin high with the hole here. Somewhere right in here, kind of about almost 2 rings over. Other than that, I tried to go one per. So in this situation, 5.1, 5.1 rings, somewhere in there. And other than that, we are going to try to just kind of perfect this curl. So the great ball's definitely going to slide it out to the left. I've been getting pretty honed in on this, so I know that, with the one ring. But what I'm doing is, you can see my alignment. I'm setting up to where one ring is still going to catch the edge of the fairway there. But with the perfect ball, it's going to give me a nice chance for rollout there. As you can see, I only missed by a little bit there. So good opportunity for you guys to get it. Hopefully you guys are, especially if you have the Win 5 ball. Alternatively, you can kind of go off the same spot, but you kind of got to change your spin a little bit. You'll have to change your curl mount. It's a little bit tougher of a shot with Win 4 or Win 3 balls. So, keep that in mind. Good luck with this hole, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, here we are, guys. So, hole number 8 should be relatively straightforward. I am in the replay pool here, so we are going to get to see kind of what my opponent's planning. I've seen quite a number of people go for the green. It's kind of a weird shot. Not something that I recommend. It's nothing you can do consistent. It makes much more sense to just put the ball out in play and just go for, kind of the hole out from the fairway. So you see how this opponent's doing it. This is what I recommend you do. Even more importantly, I'll actually show you kind of the way that I recommend it, which is even more likely. So I'll be doing this with a Win 5 ball. So if you have something similar to this, with a Power 1 a ball, right around 6 on the top spin here. And you can see with where I'm aligned right now, I'm going to just move a little bit more to the outside so I don't end up clipping this rough. Keep in mind that it's probably going to land up here somewhere. And a little bit more to the right because of all the curl that I'm applying. So you can't get too aggressive. In fact, you can actually see that, geez. How terrible is that? So I did expect the wind to be kind of pulling that a little bit more. And, I guess with the amount of power that I added, not quite consistent, but also the great ball out to the left probably cost me more than anything. You do got to be somewhat precise, but at the same time, you want to stay away from that rough. The mistake I made is manageable. The mistake you make if you landed in the rough is essentially you're not going to eagle. So definitely something you have to avoid. If you get up here to the where my opponent is, the biggest thing that I recommend is going backdoor. Kind of similar to what you saw on my channel. When you bring it in front door, it's just a little bit tougher, and playing off the fairway can lead to kind of inconsistent bounces. It may not roll out the way that you expect. So let's just see if we can't just grab this eagle anyway. So it looks like we're kind of right at mid-ish club. A little bit maybe downhill. 3.5 per ring, somewhere in there. So we'll see. So annoying. So I was going to let it go one more pass, but I didn't want to run out of time. So we're looking at birdie. Would have needed perfect ball there. Not to mention I did lower it to lower ground. But irregardless, I kind of needed to forfeit anyway. So if I would have made that, I would have qualified. So it's probably for the best anyway. ideally, like I said, if you can get up there and get it kind of into position there, that's what I recommend. It's the main reason that you see me going power 1 and 2 side spin, because that side spin is kind of an important, crucial aspect. You know, it's kind of the most side spin that you can put on it, but having 4 bars there typically keeps you out of the rough, but you have to land a little bit more aggressive. You can see that I hit a great ball out to the left, ended up entirely costing me. So you do need to just, you know, get it to land just a little bit more aggressive than I did. Hopefully you're able to. And as you can see here, you know, I basically just got to finish with a bogey here to make sure that I don't end up qualifying. But good luck with that hole, guys. I'll see you guys on 9 momentarily. All right, hey guys, here we are. Now, best thing that I suggest here, not used to seeing this account. Team Indonesia. I recommend probably getting a little aggressive. You can see that's semi-aggressive, but you can see that not quite able to pull it off. Even if you get across that bunker, it's going to be a hard hole out. So what I typically do is kind of go for the green a little bit. This isn't the best wind to do this shot because you almost have to take off the power. Taking off the power is a little bit tough to do. It's actually much better if you can go full ball. The biggest issue about taking off the power is you end up moving the target to lower ground, as I'm kind of demonstrating here. So you can see that it's barely up on high ground. So taking off the power isn't necessarily the best solution that you want to be doing. So what I've been doing is kind of going right here. You'll see that I used a lot of left spin, and you can see my alignment. It looks like I'm able to get perfect ball. Let's just see how this plays out. It looks like it's still going to clip the bunker. So as I mentioned, you know, definitely going to be tough. I do expect from this bunker to be able to hold it out. But you can see with that spin, there's a couple different things that can happen. If you have the wind kind of right around an 11 or even 10.8, you know, you may be putting, you may be out of bounds, you may be in the bunker up by the green, you may be in the rough up by the green. There's a lot of different outcomes that can happen. You can also get in the fairway up by the green. So all those solutions can happen, but I recommend going for it, or you can plop it in the bunker like me. And one of the main reasons that I suggest going for it is for the whole risk reward. You know, I'm essentially just going to, you know, probably get my eagle. No real problem here. All I have to do is be somewhat close to perfect ball on my timing. I'm more than capable of pulling this shot off. So, you know, if I could really hone in on the adjustment, I would just go here and go for a top spin shot. But I don't really have the confidence to do that. So the only thing that I've been doing when I hit it here is just basically just go right off this fairway here, just hit it into the center of the green. So what I'll typically do, maybe 1.5, 1.6 per ring. So I'm thinking in this case, 8 rings, but also keep in mind when you curl, if you're pointed up here, it's going to probably land over here with full curl. So that is going to be an important thing. So the good ball is going to end up blocking it well to the left. I kind of had a glitchy needle there, but even with being well out to the left, I would imagine, you know, there's a good chance. You can see that I'm on the fringe. That's probably actually better than the putt would have been. So very straightforward, easy shot. I'm going to have to not make this anyway. If I make it, I qualify. I don't want to qualify. No interest in playing tournaments anymore. It's just the same in each and every week. They never change anything. Wins are always the same. It's just not fun. And, you know, I can't believe that, you know, I can't stress this enough. You know, targeting the draw over applications, which do absolutely nothing for the user, essentially. This isn't why you're losing. It's because of the cheaters. It's because of the people that actually manipulate the game and get to just shoot the same setup 30 times. There's nothing more clear than it being the guys that play this setup 30 times have an advantage over you who's only playing it 6 times or 5 times. So, you play once on the qualifier, you play twice on the opener, you play twice on the weekend. If you're only playing 5 times on the setup, you're going to not do very well. If you only play 10, you probably still not do very well. It's the guys that are playing 30, 40 times. Those are the guys that are your biggest threats. It's not the wind applications. It's also not quite clans. Clans does contribute. There's no question about that. Because, and the biggest problem that I have with clans is the fact that all these guys are only worried about their clan. They're only looking out for their 49 team members. That's all they care about. So clans kind of ruin the game for me because they don't share with anybody. I share with everybody. So the guys who only want to show their closest 20, 30 friends, it's not interesting to me. It's pretty lame, to be honest. So, clans do contribute to that. But at the same time, as I mentioned, it all comes down to the guy that just gets to play the setup 50 times. If I'm playing 10 accounts, or if I'm, practicing 15 rounds on a setup, the opening, the beginning weekend, or the beginning of the week here in the qualifier, and then still have to play 5-6 rounds on the opener, 5-6 rounds. I mean, how many times have you seen the setup? You're getting the same wind with slight modified wind direction and numbers. It's basically just repetition. There's nothing interesting about the game to make that desirable. And they're doing nothing to fix it. And yet they're targeting things like Golf Clash Notebook or any application that seems to be on the screen at the same time, and not going after any of the guys actually manipulating the code. Even once they do go after those guys and ban those accounts, it only takes them 2 weeks to come back and find a workaround. So, it takes all the fun away from the game. And it is disheartening to see them kind of targeting the wrong things. All right, hey guys, just wanted to kind of show you where we finished up. You can see we got off to a decent start. Should have got 1. But aside from that, 8 and 9, they're going to be holdable. With that being said, 15, 16, 17 under, not going to be out of the realm in any sense of the word. So if you see them, not necessarily suspicious, but at the same time, you still got to be a little bit proactive because Playdemic can't even control their own cheaters. So, meanwhile, they'll be going after things like Golf Clash Notebook or other ring applications when they should be going after people who are actually manipulating the code and trying to circumvent that from happening and putting in their efforts into doing that. But what you'll see is, since they can't figure it out, they'll be like, well, why don't we just try to go after these guys? Because all these people seem to think that these ring apps are why low scores happen. It's ridiculous because you'll see guys who have the more tournament knowledge, that's why you're losing, period. It's not, it has nothing to do with ring apps. I basically just had it on the whole time during this stream. I didn't even use it once. I don't need it. If I play the setup 20 more times, you guys are in trouble. I'm going to be posting 17, 18 unders on expert. Similarly with master, that's how those guys are doing it. It's just more exposure. And, that's kind of another thing that clans kind of expose as well. I don't think clans are necessarily, kind of the root of the problem. But the worst thing about clans is the fact that, those guys, they're only looking out for their own clan. So they don't care about essentially anybody else. So with that being said, I think clans kind of ruin the game because it essentially just gives you a group of your closest buddies, and you essentially just want to have world domination over the rest of the 120, whatever it is, 200,000 clans out there on the market. So, with that being said, I don't think clans were necessarily the best thing that could have been created for this game. But they're certainly not the bulk of the problem. Even worse than clans in general are just guys that get to play the same setup and rehearse 40 times. And what is Playdemic doing to try to take away from that? Nothing. They're basically just setting up a game for guys to just memorize setups. It's been this way for at least 2+ years now. It's one of the main reasons I don't play tournaments. It's almost the number one reason. You have the cheaters who have been manipulating the game since as long as I can remember. I almost can't remember a time. I mean, we're talking early on. The first 4 or 5 months of the game is the only time where there wasn't enough people on the game who knew how to manipulate the code. Or not necessarily manipulate the code, but at least expose some of the bugs. Because I remember as early as the first time that I really noticed it was the first Halloween tournament. So first Halloween, we're talking 2017 October. And it was early October because there was 2 Halloween tournaments. But I clearly remember watching cheats like literally exposed in Master and the Expert division. Mostly during that time, it was like basically ball switches that I remember seeing. There was also kind of a driver glitch where you could kind of disconnect from the game. If you go in the rough, you could pull out your driver, stuff like that. Certain things have been patched, but other cheats just end up being exposed. And what we're seeing in the current market is kind of a mixed bag. You have, you can't take anything for granted. You don't know who's cheating. You don't know who's not. But on top of that, if you play something 50 times, you have an a huge advantage over the guy who only played it, say, 8 times or 10 times, whatever it is. So, you look at the qualifier, you look at the opener, you look at the weekend round, you're basically getting 5 plays per round. And the guys who essentially take their 5, 6, 7 accounts, however many it is, rehearse the crap out of it. They might have 20 plays already just on qualifier because they'll do 5 to 7 plays Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So 15 to 20 rounds of 9 just before even getting to the opener. Then in the opener, another 10, 15. And then same with the weekend round. The biggest cheats in the game, so to speak. It's not cheating. It's just kind of rehearsing more so than anything. But it's not the apps. It's the guys that just get to memorize the setup and see it more than you. That's why the majority of players lose. That's the only reason. That's the number one reason. Is because you're losing to guys who have more exposure on the course than you. Other than that, it comes down to perfect ball. And, ring apps are just a small percentage. But you'll see It's something that Playdemic thinks they can control. So what they're doing is they're like, well, we can't figure out the cheats. We can't easily fix our tournament structure to make it suitable to where people can't just manipulate the setup. But you know what we can do? We can easily go after the ring apps, just a couple, 15, 20, 50 hours, whatever it takes to write a solution in place to restrict them. And then it'll make people think that we're actually doing something productive. So for that reason, it's just one of those things that just doesn't really sit right with me. And it has nothing to do with being involved with Golf Clash Notebook. It just kind of shows the integrity of their company altogether. Just the fact that they will go above and beyond to get rid of the applications which essentially do nobody any harm whatsoever. It's an organized structure. It helps. I didn't even use it this whole stream. I wanted to kind of make a point here. So you can see, there's no reason from looking at my scorecard. I should have had 1. No reason I should have missed that. 2, very makeable. I can still put up easily on this setup here, 17, 18 under. It's just something that can happen without using the ring aids or anything. It doesn't matter. It's not going to make or break your round. It's knowing the setup. There's never a time during my round where I don't kind of know where. It's only, what is today? It's only Tuesday, and I've already essentially mastered the setup. So you mean to tell that come Saturday, Sunday, how much more would I have this setup mastered? It's just one of those things that it's just kind of way over their head, way over the people's head who are actually complaining and saying, "Oh, you're cheating using these apps." No, it's just something where it's a way for you to stay organized. But for that reason, me and Ian, we're really not interested in pursuing any kind of relationship with Playdemic. We have other things and dreams and goals to accomplish. So we're looking for ways to kind of move on to those. So if you don't see me or him in the community very much, and, I'm going to still keep trying to do what I can for as long as I can, just to kind of, work through and help you guys along the way. But if you don't see us around, that's the main reason. Because we're just trying to go somewhere where we're going to be more appreciated, more receptive into an environment that actually makes sense for what it is we're trying to do, which is create kind of a good solution for everyone, as opposed to, a divided community which has people actually thinking you're a solution versus a problem. That's not an enjoyable environment for us. It's not an environment for the guys who are complaining. It's not an enjoyable environment for Playdemic. This whole structure doesn't make much sense altogether. It just seems like we're all losers because we can't find a common ground where everybody can be happy no matter what gets done. And for that main reason, that's the main reason that we're kind of looking to kind of move forward from this in the future. So with that being said, thank you everyone who has supported and followed my channel. I'm going to keep doing what I can to update you guys, keep you guys in the loop with things that are going on with me. But in the event that you kind of see us backing away and just a little bit less in the community, just wanted to give you guys a heads up as to why. But good luck with your tournaments, guys, and look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Take care, everyone.